So I picked up this joiner for about 150 bucks, and other than the rust, it looked like it was in really good shape. So I started by using mineral spirits to clean off the grease and a little bit of the surface rust to get it ready for the acid wash. When I picked up this joiner, I had it out in my shop, and we had some warmer weather come through up here in Michigan, and everything had a heavy coat of condensation on it, which didn't help the situation. So I ended up using a grease penetrator on the surface just until I could get to this. The grease and surface rust continued to come off with each wipe of the mineral spirits, so I probably wiped and cleaned off the surface about 3 times. And it may not be necessary to go through the trouble of using mineral spirits beforehand, but I figured it wouldn't hurt and it would kind of prep the surfaces. I also applied the same concept to the fence as well, and I had the fence separated from the base in order to get into all the surfaces and to clean underneath where the fence slides on the actual table of the jointer. And this is the kit I picked up to do this job. I picked this up from Woodcraft for about 40 bucks with tax. There's the rust-free stain remover and rust remover. In the center is the Boshield for protection, and the third bottle is for blades and bits to remove grime and pitch, I guess they'd say. So you start by applying a nice coat of the rust remover, and you let it sit for 30 to 60 seconds. And then you can either wipe it or scrub it, and in this case it was a whole lot of scrubbing. Just picked up a variety of Scotch Brite pads and began working the surface. And the very surface of the rust will come off fairly easy. It's the thicker layers, however, that take a lot of work. After spraying and scrubbing the first layer, the outfeed table cleaned up fairly well rather quickly. It's the infeed table that needed a lot more work. So I finished wiping down all the surfaces and prepped it for another layer of spray. I learned during this process you need to keep a lot of towels and paper towels on hand. Definitely a lot of wiping and spraying and re-wiping. So I sprayed on another layer of the rust remover, and you definitely want to wear gloves, and probably wear gloves that are chemical resistant. And I'm also wearing a mask just to keep the fumes from getting in my throat. And that's probably a good idea when you do this. I attempted to use the orbital sander with the Scotch Brite pad, but it was sending the rust remover kind of all over the shop and on me. Figured that wasn't a good idea. So I went back to scrubbing manually and just making sure to get in the spindle where there was a bunch of rust as well. There was so much rust on this, it was kind of a rinse and repeat, kind of a cycle. Get it cleaned off and I'd still see some rust. So it was just applying the rust remover and scrubbing and wiping, and probably did this about 5 times across the whole surface. finally got it to the point where it's starting to look really nice. The one thing I will say about the rust remover in this kit is that it'll definitely leave you with a matte finish or even a flat finish on your cast iron. So next it was on to adding the Boshield, and this is probably the most crucial part of this process, is to keep the rust from actually occurring again on the surface. And the Boshield T9 it's called. It's actually developed by the Boeing company for aircraft maintenance, and everything I've read and seen on it says it's a great product, so I figured I would give it a shot. You can apply a liberal coat of this stuff and let it sit, and it'll kind of start to dry, but a lot of it will kind of just sit on the surface. Or you can wipe it after spraying on and thin it out, and it'll dry faster. And I applied about 3 coats and let it sit for a few days before I used it. And then I was finally able to give it a test run. And in my particular case, I probably need some new knives, and if you can't hear in the video, I'll just tell you it needs a couple new bearings on that spindle. But all in all, this machine's in great shape. And for the $150 I paid for it, I'm pretty happy. So thanks for watching. I'll leave a link to the products I used, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you'd like to be notified of future videos, please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.